main questions that are being asked to us and what all content we will be learning in this particular course and whether we will be working with projects or not. So let's just start with this. We will be Today we will be learning about the basic introduction, what all things we have here in Selenium and how we will be using these things later on the lectures. Next thing is just a second. Getting it from it's recording here as well. Wrong today in the meeting. No worries. Let's start. So here, say we will be learning about a basic history of Selenium and its future. Then we will be progressing forward with the things that we would be requiring in this course. With the thing, say whenever something is required, we will be learning about that, and then we will be trying to implement it. So the course is divided into two parts. We will be seeing that now in some time. So first question is what all will be taught in course. We will be learning about Java. We will be learning about WebDriver. We will be learning frameworks. We will be learning about Maven. Ant was covered. Ant is not covered now, but we will be getting an idea if you guys need it. Next thing is TestNG and Jenkins and Grid. So these are the all these things are the things that we will be learning in this particular course. And one of the main questions that is being asked to us, that is, will I get access to videos? Yes, you will be getting access to all the videos. Apart from the lecture being recorded, you will be getting the access to the lifetime access to the videos which are already recorded. We have a library of videos that you can watch whenever you feel like learning something. You can just go to the website and you can learn those things from there. So the next question is already answered. Do you record current sessions? Yes, we record current sessions. The current session is also getting recorded. The access to this video will be provided to you after the lecture. Now, one of the main questions is Java required? See, many of the people don't know programming. I'm just assuming that you are clear with data structures, how the conditions work, how the loops work, and how the variables work. These are the main things that are required, and we will be learning about all the things, other things that would be required. I'm just assuming that you have the basic knowledge of if conditions, for loop, while loop, the basic say functioning of functions, how do they work and how we write the say code for them and how do variables work, nothing else. Now next question is, I need help in my project to clear interview, right? Or you would want to clear an interview. See, in if you want to start working with Selenium, right, you just want to kickstart Selenium, it will take approximately 10 days to start with it. But if you want to be fluent in Selenium, if you want to say work on a project, or if you want to clear an interview, I would require you guys to at least spend 2 months on it. 6 to 8 weeks of practice is very important here. The course is of 6 weeks, but the thing is, you would require more time to learn it. There would be some challenges that you would be facing. Everyone faces a different kind of challenge. So I want you guys to practice. I want you guys to devote time to this. Just don't attend the lectures and don't practice. No, don't do that. If you're gonna do this, then you would be the one who would be suffering in later on, because every day we will be learning new concepts. Every day I want you guys to practice those things so that in case if you have any questions regarding it, in case if you have any problems regarding it, we can discuss it in the next lecture. Next thing is, what will be the duration of this course? The duration of this course is 25 to 30 hours. It depends. Sometimes it gets covered in 26 hours. Sometimes it takes 32 hours as well. So it depends on the say the level of understanding you're getting from the content I'm delivering. Next thing is how we are dividing this course. The course is subdivided into two parts. So first half is basically Selenium. Then the next half is how do we use Selenium inside a project. You can see that we have lectures till day 16 in which we are covering the topics. Then from day 17 to day 30, this is completely above the framework development. We will be developing scenarios, we will be generating reports in it, we will be parameterizing test cases, We will be using Selenium Grid. We will be using Maven inside it. We will be using Jenkins inside it. So there are a lot of things that we will be learning in day 17 to day 30. But majorly, the content would be covering all the things that are already covered here for Selenium. So in this particular part, we will be learning how we can make use of Selenium things inside a project. Now the question comes up, what say why Selenium is say covered first and then why the project is being made. The thing is that Selenium itself doesn't provide you any direct method to create a framework. What it does is it just allows interaction between code and browser, right? So this means that if we have a code, Selenium would be the intermediator which will be allowing us to interact with the browser and perform all the actions. Now, Selenium itself doesn't provide us reports. We do not have any kind of report generated by Selenium. So we require reports, we require test cases. Now, Selenium by default doesn't provide us any kind of test cases. It is just allowing us the functionality of interacting with the browser, nothing else. So we need to have these things. We need to say mail reports as well. Now a project must have these things plus additional a lot of other things. Now in case if we just learn Selenium and we do not learn a project, we do not learn about anything about a framework, then Selenium, you have you would have just learned a basic thing because you know what Selenium works, but how to make things work with Selenium you don't know, right? So that is why we have given a 50% weightage for the project part, where you would be learning how you can run multiple test cases, you can run hundreds of test cases with different sets of data with complete automation. You don't have to be in front of the system to run the test cases. Everything will be done in the background, right? So let us just start with that. So let us just move to the official website of Selenium, that is selenium.dev. Someone's mic is on, could you please mute it? It is causing interruption. Now here, as you can see on the official website, they tell us Selenium automates browsers. So as it is telling us, Selenium automates browsers. That's it. This means that we can interact with the browsers only. It does not allow us to do other things. Now, what does this mean? How does the whole thing work? So what we do is we have a code. Suppose we get a code, right? And here is our browser, right? Now, what we usually do in a browser, we go to a website. There are few things here and there, right? So let us just consider there are few things. There is some text, right? So what we do is we interact with the pages. How we interact with the pages? For example, if I come here, you can see that I am going to a website. I am trying to click here and there, and here what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to scroll up and scroll down and looking into things and just clicking on the links or buttons, right? So here, how we can perform all these things in Selenium? This is easy. What we will be doing is, with the help of Selenium, what we would be doing is we would be writing code. Code for what? For say browsing. How? Say I would like to click. Say click, right? Or I would like to go to a page. So navigate. I would like to type something. Type, right? So there would be some actions that we would be performing. and those actions will be sent to the browser for processing. So whatever action we write here, this will be sent to the browser. This means that we can actually replicate human interaction here. We don't need to be we don't need to be present in say present in front of the system, and everything will be done in a normal way, right? Now the thing is, what all things we need to say learn about Selenium, what all things we require to start off with Selenium, right? So before starting off with the coding part, we need to learn about few things. We need to have few things. We need to get our system ready for Selenium. So what all things we require? We require the IDE. We would be requiring something to write code on, right? For this, we will be using Eclipse. Now, as we will be using Eclipse, Eclipse requires something that is JDK. So we would be downloading JDK as well, right? And what else? We need Selenium library. So how would we be able to use all these things? Let us just learn that. First of all, let us just download JDK. Now here, the question comes up, which version of JDK do we need to download, right? So for that, let us just look up for something that is JDK roadmap. This is the official link of Oracle. Oracle is the company which provides us JDK. Scroll down, and here these are the versions provided by JDK, sorry, Oracle. And here you can notice something. JDK 8 is the version which was made available back in 2014, and here it is supported until December 2030. Apart from this, there is another version of JDK which is long-term supported version, but the thing is that it is just supported till 2026. So say you can say that for the next 5 years it is supported, right? Sorry, next 6 years it is supported. So here, why would we go for a support of 6 years when we can have something which is supported to say 10 years, right? Now what we will be doing is we would be downloading JDK 8. In case if you have any other version of JDK installed, I would suggest to move to the late say the stable version, that is JDK 8 or JDK 11 in case you don't want to work with JDK 8. But again, I would suggest you to use JDK 8 only. Any other version which is already installed, you can simply uninstall it and you can start using JDK 8. Now to download it, what you need to do? JDK 8 download. Just look up for this on Google. And the first link provided to you is Java ISE Development Kit 8 downloads. Click here and you can see this page where you would be asked for few things, right? Now the thing is, they have provided us a list of files that we can download. Question comes up, which file do we need to download, right? Now there are different versions of JDK provided, but only one is the file that you need to download. For example, I'm using Windows 64-bit, so I would be downloading this particular file. You may be using Windows 32-bit, so you need to download this particular file. Now for Windows users, how would you be calculating this thing, that which say version of Windows I'm using, right? So here what you can do is you can open my computer, Windows E, then go to computer, go to system properties. In case if you are able to see 64-bit operating system, then you can download x64. In case if you see 32-bit operating system, then you need to download x86. x86 is for 32-bit, x64 is for 64-bit. So what we need to do, we just need to download 8U261 Windows 64, and you can click on this. You can check this option and click on download. It will be taking you to a login screen where you need to provide your credentials for Oracle account. In case if you don't have it, don't worry, you can create it for free. They won't be asking you for any credit card information, so you are completely secure. You just need to verify your email ID and you can download the file. Now about other operating systems. So Mac people need to download only one file. They don't have to look up for the version of the operating system they're using. They just need to download this DMG file and they're good to go. And about Linux people, if someone is using Linux, I am already aware of the thing that they are a power user. They know which file to download and which file to work with. So they can configure JDK without any hassles. Now, here, say, once it is downloaded, you can simply install it. Installation is super easy. Click next, next, next. Yes, yes, yes. In the end, click on finish and you're done. But after the installation, there is a configuration that you need to go through. What is that configuration? So here, once you have installed JDK, it will come up here inside program files. Then say Java. So Java is the folder. Here you can see that there are two folders that are created, right? Question comes up which folder you need to use. Go to JDK, go to bin, and copy this path. Now this configuration is for Windows users. Only Windows users need to configure JDK. Other operating systems configure it automatically. Now here open environment variables. Open start menu and start typing environment variables. So uh, this process is different for Windows XP. Other operating systems have the same process, so you don't need to worry about it that I'm using Windows 7 or I'm using Windows 8 or 8.1. The procedure may be different. No, the procedure is completely same. What you have to do, open start menu. The start menu will look different in all the operating systems. But once you start typing environment variables, right? The options you'll get will be same. Edit the system environment variables option that you have to choose. Click here. A window like this will appear on all the operating systems, excluding Windows XP. For Windows XP users, I would suggest to upgrade to the latest version of Windows, that is Windows 10. Windows XP is obsolete and it may cause a lot of troubles later on. Click on environment variables and here scroll down and look up for the path variable. In case if path variable this section is not available, when this section is not available to you, the case when you don't have the permissions to make changes to the system, when you are using a office machine, right? This happens sometimes. You are not learning on your personal machine, you are learning on your office machine. No need to worry. In that case, you will be getting an option like this. When you type environment variables, you would be having an option for edit environment variables for your account, right? In this case, I'm not able to edit these things. I'm able to see these things, but I'm not able to edit these things. In that case, you can follow the same steps, but in the above section, that is the path variable here, right? I'm editing it for everyone so that everyone would be able to understand this thing, right? Here, look up for path variable. Now you'll see a lot of things listed here. In case if you're using older version of Windows, it will look something like this. Don't need to worry. What you have to do, simply click anywhere, make sure that no text is highlighted, click on end key and then paste the path that you have copied. Click on OK and you're done. Now once you're done with it, you would be able to see the path something like this specified on the bottom, right? It may be specified in the bottom, it may be specified in the top, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the path should be specified here. Next thing, once you're done with it, you need to create a new variable and you can click here on new, specify the variable name Java underscore home, right? But keep one thing in mind, you need to specify Java home as it is. Do not specify J's, capitals, or everything in small characters. No, everything should be in uppercase. You cannot use lowercase characters here, right? Now, once you're done with this, paste the path that you've copied, but remove bin. Just keep the path till JDK version number and you're done, right? My version is 261. You would be downloading 271. I feel like it's 271. I'm using a little bit older version of JDK, but that works. Nothing specific has changed here, right? But do not download JDK 15 or JDK 14. They are unstable and would cause you a lot of troubles. Now here, once you're done with this, Click on OK and it will look something like this. Once done, you can start working with this now. Click on OK, and here what you can do is you can open command prompt now. So CMD, and here type a command. What command? Java hyphen version. Hit enter. If you get to see this output, this means that you have successfully installed Java. You have successfully installed JDK. But in case if you get some prompt like this, Java is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file. This means that there is something, there is a mistake that you have made. Ignore this text here because I just wanted to replicate something, right? So it will be written something like this: Java will be in bracket and other thing is as it is, right? In that case, what you need to do, you have already configured Java. First thing that you need to do is restart your system. In a very rare scenario you need to do that, but if you are facing this kind of issue, then you need to restart your machine. In case if it doesn't resolve the issue, then do one thing: start watching the video from the beginning again and configure your JDK once again. You may have missed out something somewhere, right? Now once this is done, what's next? The next thing is you need to download Eclipse. Go to a website, eclipse.org. Here what you need to do is you just need to click on download button, and here it will be taking you to download this thing. Click on download this particular version, right? And here it will be giving you Eclipse inst something file name, right? And I don't want to allow cookies. I'll just click on download, and now the download has started. It will take a little bit time. They have increased the speed of installer. It was around 40 MB last time. And it is almost downloaded now. So here, once you open this, it will be giving you prompts. Installation of JDK is easy, but now the process of installing Eclipse has a bit changed. So let's see what you need to do here in this case now. Here, what you have to do, if you click here on install Eclipse IDE for Java developers, it will not be allowing you to choose the version of Eclipse you would want to install. So what you need to do, click on back, click here in hamburger, click on advanced mode, and the moment you click on advanced mode, you will be getting some options. First thing that you need to do is choose Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java developers. Next thing, you need to choose the product version. Choose 2020-06. By default, it will be chosen. Question is why? Because we do not have JDK 14 or 11 installed, right? So here we need to choose the Java JVM, right? Java 1.8 plus VM. Here choose the JDK one, right? Or the JRE one. You can choose any one here. I'll choose JRE one, right? And here what you need to do is uncheck this bundle pool, click on next, and you're done. It will take a minute or two according to your internet connection. Maybe it will take a little bit more time. Once it is installed, you can see a window something like this. So you will be getting a window something like this. Now what you need to do here in this case. Now this is a window which is asking you for a directory as a workspace. First question is, what is this? So in Eclipse, what we have is we have a concept known as workspace. What is a workspace? Workspace is a place where you keep all the code, but you can keep all the projects as well. So it organizes all your projects in one place, right? Now where it should be kept. So you can decide a location. For example, I can choose a location here in my A drive, documents, batches, and I'll create a folder here, right, for our batch. So Control Shift N. Now here the folder name would be say 2020, say Selenium hyphen nonce, right? Hit enter. The folder is created. You can see that the folder is completely empty right now. Just copy this path and provide it here. Click on launch. The moment you click on launch here, it will take a little bit time and it will start configuring things. You can see that there is a folder created .metadata and a lot of other files will be created later on. Now all the projects that you create will be added here in their own project folders, right? And here you can see that my Eclipse will be opening in a moment. Just a second. And here, where did my Eclipse go? Okay, it came here in the screen. So here, this looks something like this when it opens up. What you need to do here? First thing is you need to close this tab. Then you would be able to see a few things. Now, what all things you have here? So this is the overview of Eclipse. This is the view of all the things that you have in Eclipse. Now, what all these sections are, what all the text means, right? So let us just see that now. So here we have few sections. This section, this is our code section. This means that all the code we write will be shown here, right? Then there is another important section, that is this section. What does this particular section mean? This section means that you have something, that is, say, this will show you the information regarding code. What kind of information? Every kind of information. It may be problems, it may be execution, and a lot of other things. Third thing, the third section is this section. This is a project explorer section. What all things we have here? In this particular section, we will be able to see the files and projects, right? So what all files we have in our project, we will be able to see here in this particular section. There is some section here as well. We don't use these things. So we can simply close it. This means that now this section has been expanded and it is till this end now. So these are the sections here with us now. Now, how we can create a new project here in Eclipse? It is easy. What we can do is we can click on here, that is create a project. What kind of project we would want to create? We would want to create a Java project. Where did I click? Just notice this thing here. On the left section, I have an option of create a project. Click here and you can see the things here. So click on Java project, click next, and it will be asking you for a few things. What is the project name? What is the execution environment? What say GRE you would want to use, right? So here I would need to specify the project name, Selenium Basics, right? I'm choosing the use execution environment, that is Java SE. You can choose another version, but don't change it here right now. Once you start working with Eclipse, you understand things, then you can make changes here. Click on finish and click on open perspective. So this is done. Now you have created your Java project. It looks something like this. Again, Outline and task list has come up. You can simply close it. Now you can see that once you expand it, you're able to see few things here. But if I go to this folder, the workspace directory, you can see that there is a folder created now, a folder named as Selenium Basics. Here inside this particular folder, there are some files and folders. So there is a dot settings folder, there is a bin folder, there is a source folder. We have dot class path file and dot project file. What are these things are? So class path and project file are the files which carry the configuration for the project. Information about this current project, and settings also carry some information about the project. There are two main folders that we require, that is source and bin folder. But if we go back to Eclipse, you would notice something, that we actually require only one folder, that is source folder. So why there is a bin folder? So there is a logic behind it when this comes up in light, and what functionality it has inside it, right? Why the files are also kept here. So we will be seeing that in a minute. Now, whenever you create a new file, where it is kept, it will be kept inside the source folder. So right click here on source folder and you will get the option of new, where you can specify the option what you need to do. I would need to create a class. We have classes in Java which work the way we would want to. We write the code inside class files and then say these execute and these perform the actions that we specify. It can be any kind of action. This code will perform that action in case if the code is valid, right? Here we can specify the file name, right? So here what we can do is we can specify the file name as, say, basics, right? Now here, the moment I click on finish, you can see that a default package has come up and a file name basics.java has come up. Why there is a folder named as default package come up, right? This means that there is no specific package. What is a package? Package is something that allows us to, say, keep the code organized. We'll learn about it later on, why we use it and how we use it, and say whether it is required or not. So yes, it is required, but why and how, we will be learning about that in the coming time. Now let us just learn about this basics.java file. You can see that this file has been created. There is some text written inside it, public class basics and the two curly brackets, nothing else. Now here, if we go back to the folder, you would notice something. In the source folder, basics.java has come up, right? But if we go back, you would notice something. In the bin folder, basics.class has also come up. Now, what is the difference between basics.class and basics.java? So there is a basic difference here. The difference is that basics.java and basics.class, they have a little bit different. Basics.java is our source code, right? This means that we can edit it. But basics.class is our binary file. But this is already clear by the folder names. SRC means source, bin means binary. Then what is the difference here? The difference is that we can edit source, but we cannot see and edit. right? This means that we will not be able to see what's written inside basics.class, but we will be able to see what's written inside basics.java. Let's see that then. Right click here on the file name and click on open with. You have the option of notepad. So click here, uncheck the option dot open class files, right? Click on OK and you can see that there is something written that we are not able to understand. But if I go back and if I go to source folder, I right click here and I click on edit, you would notice something. I am able to see the text written inside it, right? This means that I can edit, I can see and make changes to a Java file, but I cannot make changes to a class file. Now, why we require a class file when we already have a Java file? The thing is that whenever we execute code, the Java file gets converted to class file. Class file is something that has to be executed, right? So, executable file. This will be executed, but not directly. If I try to execute it from here, it will not execute. Then who will execute it and how it will be executed? Java will be executing this file with its own library, and how we do that, we don't need to worry about it. Eclipse will be doing this thing for us. It will be converting this Java file to .class file and it will be executing that class. Now, what is the benefit of having a class file? This class file is ready to use. This means that you can run it on any operating system. Say you can run it on Windows. The same file can be run on Mac. The same file can be run on Linux as well. So this doesn't mean where you're running this file. You don't need to compile this file. This is a pre-compiled file. You just need to run your code and you're good to go. You just need to run this file and you're good to go. Now here, how we write code inside this and why we use Eclipse. We can start writing code inside this in say Notepad as well. But the problem with Notepad is that it does not provide us any kind of suggestion. This means that if I start typing here, say if I type main, I'm not getting any kind of suggestions. Maybe there is something that can be used here, right? I'm not able to see that. But I'll just click on don't save. But if I start typing here, you would see something. It is suggesting me something. Main method, right? I'll just start typing it, typing here again. Main, right? It doesn't show me up anything. What you need to do, hit Control Space. It will show you tooltip window where you can see, say, what kind of thing you can do with it. It is giving me an option of main method. What is a main method? Why do we require it? Main method, or you can say that main function. This is something that we require, or you can say that this is something that is executed when the class is executed, right? This is the first function that will be called when this particular class, that is basics, will be executed. This means that whenever I specify some code inside main function, that will be executed normally, right? So here I can specify a lot of things here, but let's see how we can print stuff here. SYSO is the shortcut key that we use to write a command. System.out.println. What does this do? This is the command which allows us to print the content on the screen. What content? We can specify the content and it will be printing out all the content. But before specifying the content, we need to see something, what all kinds of content we can have. So we can have integer type data. How we can store integer type data inside this? So int, then the variable name, say a, and we can specify the value. Say a is having a value 1. Now to complete this line, I need to specify something that is semicolon. It is the key after L key. Without say hitting shift key, you will be able to get this text. Now you can see that this line is complete. I'm having a value. I'm having a sorry, variable which has the value 1 and whose data type is integer, right? This means that I can store any kind of integer type data. I can specify 1, I can specify 10, I can specify 100, I can specify 1009, I can specify any number here. It just matters to me what number I would want to store here. Now, this has been stored. Now, what if I want to print this data? How would we be able to do that? Doing this is very easy. In system.out.println function, you can specify the text that you would want to print. Suppose I would like to print the variable a, right? You can see that I specified a inside this bracket and I'm good to go. The problems have gone. You can see the code, there is no triangle shown here, right? But if I remove this a, you can see that there is a triangle shown here. This is giving us a prompt that there is a problem. There is a message that is the value of local variable is not used. If I specify here a inside this system.out.println, you would be seeing that the error is gone. Now the question comes up, how would we be able to run this code? Running this code is very easy. Look up for this play button here, the green button. It looks like Prime Video button. Click here and choose the option always save resources before launching and click on OK. The moment you click on OK, you can see that there is an output 1. This is what we stored inside A, right? Now we can store another text as well. We can create another variable. Say another variable is of type string. So string. What is the variable name? Say the variable name is B. What kind of data it stores? Say it stores the information my name, right? You may have noticed something. I specified my name, but inside the quotes. What is the benefit of using quotes here? Why these are required? See, whenever you specify a text, which is not a number, you need to specify that text inside quotes. Now, what kind of variables, or you can say that what kind of data types receive this kind of text? So only string will be receiving this kind of a text. You can specify the variable type as string and you can specify the data like this. Now I can print this information. System.out.println syso, hit control and space key all together and you will get this completed. Now I can specify B here. Now if I run this code, what will happen? You would notice something, it is printing 1 Abhishek. This means that all the information that we have stored here will be printed, right? Now, say, what if I want to print some information which is, say, hard coded? This means that I would want to print something like this. I would like to print Puri here without specifying that inside a variable. I can do that as well, right? Here, you can see that one Abhishek Puri. All these three things have been printed in three different lines. What if I would want to print this information in a single line, but here by using three different lines of code? How would I be able to do that? Doing this is very easy. How? The thing is that there is a function that we are using, that is println function, right? What if I make a change to this? Suppose in line number 7, I'm printing say Bri, but I'm not using the function println, I'm just using the function print. What change it would do for me? If I run this code, you would notice something. It is printing 1 Abhishek Puri, but without spaces. But the thing is that it is printing this information without moving to the next line. How it is possible? So what happens is that whenever you use println, it prints the information and moves the cursor to the next line. What is a cursor? You can see that there is something that is blinking. This is the cursor. This is printing information for us, right? This means that when I use this in line number 7, the cursor stayed on the same line. That is why we got Puri printed in the same line. And if you notice something right now, the cursor is on the next line after printing Puri. I'll make a change here. I'll keep this as print. I'll run this code. I'll click here and the code will run. You can see that Abhishek Puri. Now the cursor has not moved to the next line. So what is the difference? The difference is very simple. Print ln moves the cursor to the next line. On the other hand, print keeps the content say cursor on the same line after printing the content. Right? So these two things are done. Now, what else? Let's see that. So let's just move to the syllabus first. Let's see whether we have not skipped out anything, right? Say what we have learned so far. We have learned that, say, why is Java important, right? We have installed JDK, we have installed Java, we have installed Eclipse, right? This is our first Java program that we are going through right now, right? And we have learned about concept of class file, we have learned about concept of, say, Java file. There is a concept of jar file as well, right? So let's go back to the bin directory. Here in this bin directory, not this bin directory, this bin directory, you can see that this is a file which has the name basics.class, right? Now there is a file name, a file as jar file. The jar means that Java archived resource. So here jar means, just a second. Yeah, jar means Java archive resource, right? What does this mean? This means that it is just a collection of all the class files. All the class files kept in a single file so that we can share it with other people. How we do that? We will be learning about that in the coming lectures whenever it is required. But the thing is that it just keeps all the files in the same location. Now, as we have learned about jar, jar is a library. Now this means that Selenium is also a library, as I told you earlier. This means that I need to download and install, say, configure Selenium inside my project. How would we be able to do that? For that, we need to download Selenium first. So go to the downloads section inside selenium.dev, where you can find this section. Simply go to the downloads button here on the top. Once you go there, you would notice a lot of things. Scroll down, keep on scrolling until you see something that is Java. So what version we have here? The stable version is 3.141.59. Apart from that, we have a alpha version as well. So now the question comes up, which version of Selenium we will be using in this particular course? See, majority of the people would want to use the latest version because they want to learn the latest things, right? And the thing is that yes, they should learn the newest version. But in case if you face any kind of issues, I would suggest you guys using the older version because this is the stable version. It was released back in 2018. So from past 2 years, there is no change inside it. This means that this is the super stable version of Selenium. But we will be going through with 4.0 because it is the latest version. But the thing is that there is no major change inside the code. This means that the code we write will be completely same even if we write code for 3.141.59 or we write code for 4.0.0 alpha 7. Then what is the difference? The difference is with the grid. They have made changes inside Selenium grid functionality. It is completely overhauled now. So that is why I'm going with Alpha 7 because in the coming say months it will be released. A release will be coming up so that you can start using it, right? So here I'll download Alpha. You can click on Alpha download link here and it will take a little bit time for the download to be done. It is a 23 MB file. Once downloaded, you can see that just it is still open. Okay. I don't know what is the issue with Chrome. It is completely downloaded right now. The same issue again. Just a second, guys. Let me just use another browser. There is a problem with Chrome right now. Don't tell me it is not downloading here as well. Okay, it has downloaded. I think so. The file has come up here inside my downloads directory. Yeah, it has come up. We can start using it. So here we can just open this zip file. There are a lot of things inside this zip file, right? You can see that there are a lot of files. What all these files are and how would we be able to use all these files? You can see that a, a pretty long list of files are there, right? What you need to do, you just need to extract all these files somewhere. So click on extract to. The software I'm using to extract content is WinRAR. You can also download it from rarlab.com. It is completely free of cost. You can simply download it and start using it. And what I'll do is I'll just extract these files inside my, say, extras, and not in extras actually. So I'll create a folder inside our batch directory, right? So batch directory is Selenium now, right? And here someone wants to join. It's pretty late now. So here I can create a folder, Selenium jars, right? And I'll click on OK. So here, yes to all. Once done, we can go to that particular folder and you can see that here in batches in my current folder, you can see that Selenium jars have been created and all the files are listed here. Files are inside lib folder as well. First thing that you need to do is copy or move all the files outside in one directory, right? You have all these files here now, right? Now what you need to do with all these files, there are a lot of files here. Go back to Eclipse. So here is our Eclipse. Right click on this particular project, go to properties and then click on Java build path. Here, what you can do is you can go to libraries. Here you can see that there is an option of add external jars. Add all the jars that you have. Where are these jars? These are inside documents, batches, current project, Selenium jars. Hit Control A, open, and all the jars have been loaded here. I really don't know the count of these jars here now because the list has increased now. Click on apply and close, and it will take a little bit time for the project to get configured. Once done, you would see a library option named as referenced libraries where you will be able to see all the files listed. As I told you, jar is a Java archived resource. This means that it will be containing files for the things that you would be using. For example, as I told you, say we have different files. Suppose we have the Selenium Alpha 7 jar. It has some class files inside it, right? So if I expand this org.openkey.selenium package, you can see that there is alert.class, architecture.class, beta.class, buildinfo.class. We have all the class files here, right? These class files are categorized under different packages. We have package named as or.openkey.selenium. Then we have a package name as or.openkey.selenium.html5 and so on. So these are the different packages we have. What all these packages do? These allow us to organize our code in a way so that we know that where what file is. For example, if I need to interact with say Selenium, I can use the classes listed here, actions class, right? Suppose I need to interact with Chrome browser. There is a package named as org.openkey.selenium.chrome. And you can use one of the classes here, which will be allowing you to interact with Chrome browser, right? So the things are further categorized inside multiple packages. You just need to import the package and you're good to go, right? So we will be learning about how we can create different packages and how we can work with other say other things inside the class files in the next lecture. In case if you have any queries for today's lecture, you can feel free to ask right now or in the next lecture as well. Any queries, guys?